So this is the second time in a week where I've actually killed my audio and restarted it because I have a habit of starting with the same show with the same words every single time, and that's, how's it going, guys? You okay? I'm trying to do better intro. So welcome to the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast. I'm your host, Alex Whiteley, and joining with me today is a special guest, Lea Meakin. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm really good. No Julie today, and no Shane. Shane has got the kids, and Julie's having a well-deserved day off. We've been working really hard on things, and I'll go into that in a bit. And Lee has joined me today because I really wanted to get him on the show because he has got a great podcast, and I wanted to find out a bit about him. I like talking to other podcasts so we can salivate over microphones and stuff.
yeah.
You know?
Technical orgasms.
Yeah, that's what it is. So you do the it's now called the Conversation Junkie, right?
It is. There's a bit of a story behind it. For ages, or it all started out as a dad podcast.
Yeah.
Because I set up a dad page on Instagram, and I was like, "Oh, I want to get onto this dad blog stuff. So it looks really interesting." So then I thought, let me do a podcast, and I'm going to talk about parent issues and dad stuff. And I quickly realised after the first 2 or 3 episodes that I'm pretty much asking the same question and getting the same answers, but with a different voice. So I was like, "Oh, this isn't working. Let me change things up a bit." So I decided to change the name, change the format of the show. I wanted to have more of an informal conversation with as many people as possible. While I was doing that, in my brain, I was going, "You need to learn some stuff, son, because you're thick." like I love talking to people about all sorts of stuff, but I find myself out of depth. Like when I listen to people talking about politics, and I go, "Oh, this is really interesting. I want to get on this conversation, but I don't know that much." So I wanted to find out as much as I possibly can. Then I changed the name to the Just Talk podcast.
Which I really like, by the way.
Because
really like that.
I was like, "What are we doing? We're just talking." I was like, "There it is, Just Talk podcast." And then a few months later, I was like, "Oh, that's really," like, it almost felt cheap, thin, like there was no substance. You read the name of the podcast and you go, So after loads of procrastination, and I wrote down,
It's okay.
wrote down loads of names and spitballed some ideas with the wife, and then I came up with Conversation Junkie. And as soon as I said it, I was like, that's it. And then I was like, don't commit to it until you're sure. So for maybe 3 weeks, I kept going back to it. I was like, yeah, that's it. That's the way it's going to be. So I changed the design. I had a couple of people going to try and do me a design. I did a podcast cover art just for the interim.
Yeah.
And then I decided, that's the name. And I'm sticking with it because I think that the name of that podcast now sort of sums up exactly what the content of the podcast is about.
Yeah, because you're craving. Just pick this right up so you talk right into it. That's it.
Better?
Hey, a lot better. Yeah. Yes. And that's the thing, isn't it? You found your identity now.
Yes.
And you're going to stick with that, and it makes you feel happy. Nobody likes having something. I mean, like, I'm one of these. I like to change things all the time. I think the Shrewsbury Biscuit logo has remained sort of the same. I think I tidied it up from the beginning, but with my other show, Thorskin, I'm always changing the logo, always changing things up, and I maybe that's bad because then people lose track of what's going on. But I like just keeping things fresh for that show. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, lots of people redesign stuff.
Yeah.
And sort of reinvent themselves, as long as you've still got continuity within the content of the show.
Oh, Thorskin lost its continuity a long time ago. It actually started off as a really tame sort of show with me and my friend Jimmy, who lives in Telford, and we do a lot of gaming news and a lot of geeky news and things like that, with a few swears in. And then he went and did the worst thing in the world and had a child. James, I love you. So he couldn't do it anymore. So I pulled in Tom, who's from Vermont, and he swears like the F word is in between every single word that he uses.
Yeah.
Like he's quite, but I like that because it's a show where people can just be themselves.
Absolutely.
If that's the way he wants to do it, then that's the way he wants to do it. I mean, obviously we're careful to not offend people. We do offend people, but we're not on purpose. With the Shrewsbury Biscuit, I think I fell in love with it straight from the beginning, and with the logos, things like that. So, I feel when you say you found your identity and you found that kind of that name that makes you smile, makes you feel right, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. The guests I have on, I try and find guests that deal with subjects and topics that I find interesting. So I want to speak to a scientist about black holes because I don't know about black holes.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
So how does that work? And these questions might sound really stupid, but you have to start from the beginning. You have to start as low as you possibly can and work your way up. So then I can hold myself in a conversation about politics and moaning about Brexit and all that sort of stuff, which I've done that a lot more recently, and I feel more confident as well talking to people. Kerry was saying to me, and my wife was saying, "Oh, you're nervous to go and speak on this podcast." And I was like, "No, I'm not, because I've now got the confidence. I will ask anybody to come on my show, and I'm happy to do a bit of research, and I'm perfectly happy and confident to ask them as many questions as I possibly can."
Yeah, I like that, and I do enjoy that. I enjoy finding out new things, and it's something beautiful. And what I love about your show is it sounds like a podcast, and that sounds really like a really strange thing to say. I mean, you've seen. I'm friends with a lot of podcasters. There's a huge community of us, people that I love, right? And the sort of shows that I put together, I like to almost sound like a panel show. Kind of like that fresh, organic sort of back into. But yours, it sounds like a very crisp kind of podcast. There are the podcasts that are like, "Hi, and welcome to the Just Talk podcast," or to the Conversation Junkie, and today I'm going to be talking to, and that sounds crisp and clear, and I like that.
Yeah, the idea was to improve that, because when I first started, I was like, stop talking about it, just do it.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, how can I do it? Well, I need a podcast, somewhere to upload it. So I found Anchor, because it's like free. Unfortunately, you give away your IP, so I need to get off that as quick as possible.
Yeah.
And I was using my iPhone and some headphones, and quickly realised that the audio wasn't brilliant. So I was on Facebook Marketplace, and I found a snowball ice, so I upgraded that. Yes. And then I got some software. I use Adobe Audition to edit my podcast, and I made it as crisp as possible. And then I got to the point where, right, I now need to up this game again. So last week, I ordered all my new stuff. I bought 2 Shure SM58s.
There's an SM56, I think. They are killer mics. They're awesome.
Yeah, I have dropped it and hit my ankle with one already, and it's not good.
For the listeners at home that can't see what I'm looking at, I'm holding right now a Shure SM50. I think it's a 46. I think it is. Now, a PG48 is basically the next one down from the SM58, and it's heavy. It's made of metal. You could run over this thing with a tank, and it would still work. They're brilliant microphones.
I mean, it's an assault weapon.
It is. If you threw that at someone, it would cause a lot of damage. Yeah. Good microphones.
Yeah. So I ordered 2 of them. Cables. I ordered a H6 because I want to be able to go and interview people like we're doing here. We're at a kitchen table. I want to go to people's houses and speak to them. My first podcast, I've been going on about it for months and months and months. I got my new kit. I was so proud as punch. I set all my stuff up, made the Skype call to the guy I was talking to. We had a bit of feedback, and I lost my headphones. So we were talking, and I said, look, I've got to find my headphones. He said, well, we're getting feedback, so end the call, find your headphones, and call me back. So I was like, okay. So I checked all my settings, made sure that the feed was from the H6 previously, found my headphones, remade the call, but didn't check my settings again. So the settings then went back to default and was recording the audio that was coming from my Apple headset and not the actual H6. So I've just done an hour and a half podcast, 20 minutes from the end, checked my settings and realised it wasn't recorded from this new kit. I was like, I can't believe you've been going on about this for months, and the first podcast, you get the opportunity to use it, you knacker it up.
Do you know that's so common? It is the most Tom, my co-host for Thorskin, he bought himself a Blue Yeti. And for weeks I was like, that microphone sounds awful. I don't know what's going on with your microphone. You need to look at it. And after a while he was like, okay, I'll have a look at it. And he realised it was picking up the audio from his webcam, the microphone. He had this brand new Yeti for like 2 months, and he hadn't really technically used it.
Yeah. It's just been out of the box gathering dust.
Yeah, I was like, you sound like you're underwater, man. So how are you finding this journey then? You know, from the beginning right through now, has it been great doing this trial and error sort of thing? Because I found it really, you know, it's really interesting learning about how to handle audio and things like that. You know,
it is. I think I've just scratched the surface. You know, I'm where I want to be, and I know what I need to know, but there is so much to learn. It is unreal. Like when I'm editing, the shortcuts that I'm learning, because I do a lot of YouTube tutorials and stuff. Oh, how can I do this? And I'll spend 20 minutes, half an hour trying to learn how to do it, and then forget it. Next time I'm going to edit. But trying to be a mini audio engineer is pretty hard. And to be fair, producing a podcast in itself is bloody hard work.
it really is.
It takes
really
up so much time.
It really
Like
is.
3 days it took me to get this podcast out. I mean, because the kids are in there and there's jobs to do.
Life.
Yeah, hashtag life gets in the way.
Yeah.
I mean, you really have to shut the door and get on with it.
Yeah.
You really got get your head down and just crack on.
I've spent. There have been times when I've spent the worst audio I ever had. Right, so I got this great opportunity to speak to Charlie Adlard, Robbie Morrison, John Wagner, some of the biggest like comic book stars like live around us, but they're like massive. They're rock stars in the comic book world, and we all got to the Hive, and we sat around the table and we hit record. We used somebody else's equipment, and I think that was. A H6. I can't remember what mic it was, but it was super sensitive, and it picked up the air conditioning, and it ruined the whole thing. It ruined the whole thing, and it took me 3 days to get it to sound audible. And I'm a bit of a snob when it comes to my audio. It's got to sound okay, you know. And I really hated the fact that this was the one time I was getting all these people around the table, and I had to release audio like that. It's quite heartbreaking.
Yeah. I did one once, and the audio was just shocking. In fact, I did two. One of them I just couldn't put out. It was that bad. Yeah. And the second one was a guy I really wanted to talk to. The audio wasn't great. He clearly had his mic was on his shirt. Yeah. And every time he moved, the mic was picking up the rough. Oh. And I took out as much as I could. And nightmare. But
it's great looking like you're on Anton Deck with the lapel mic, but they don't work very well.
Yeah.
Unless you got state of the art equipment, you know. So why did you want to start a podcast? I know you said originally you wanted to do a dad thing, but what was the thing that made you want to do it?
I think when I first started the Instagram thing, I wanted to get on it and communicate and engage with as many people as I could. That was all right for the first probably 6 months, but then it took a turn, and then you find that actually people are really selfish. And all they want you to do is like their posts. Yeah. And they don't want to talk to you. Yeah. They don't want to engage. So I was like, okay, well, I can force this a little bit. I can force people to speak to me, get them on a podcast, and they have to speak to me, provided obviously they come on. So that was the idea behind it. How can I get people to speak to me? I'll do a podcast.
Yeah.
And it's just grown from there. And I think you can make a successful podcast as long as you endure. A lot of people give up after, well, I think the magic number is from 7 to 20 episodes. Yeah. If you get past 20 episodes, you're pretty well sorted. Yeah. So I'm now 25.
You're doing well, man. And you've made something that I've listened to a couple of your episodes now. And I like your quality of show. I think you're really engaging with the conversations. The guests you get on is really good. My grammar's not great, and you know you've kind of fallen into a groove, and I think you find that sort of after sort of like 15 shows, I think is the magic number. You kind of get into a rhythm, and you find yourself like I haven't taken any notes today. I've written down my shout outs, which I didn't do. I'll do it towards the end, but I used to write like pages and notes, and I found that the more notes I used to make, the more I kind of would be reading off a page, and you know you kind of get lost where you are, and so I've got my groove now. Have you found that it's got easier for you the more you've done it?
It has. The new format where it's more structured and less not waffle, but less of winging it, if you like. So I do my research on the guest. There's a little bio in the beginning. And like you say, the first time I read my bio, I was like, you can tell you're reading that. You need to loosen up a little bit. So that's going to come with time. And I try to get 5 or 6 key questions from the podcast. And then you'll get, another 10, 15 questions off of that key question whilst you're talking. So there's loads and loads of stuff that we can talk about. But as long as I get my 5 to 6 key questions and I get my intro, I'm well away, because that's my comfort zone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and what I love about what we're doing is, they put these really acoustically sound like the great springs to have. You can make some great music with these mic stands. They're terrible, for what we do with them. What I love about our community is everyone is so cooperative. I mean, you've seen it by now. I'm sure you have. The spammers, the kind of they just self promote, post in out. But there are a lot more people that kind of work together. There's no competition. I want you to come on my show to talk about your show, because I like to encourage. I've had Glyn from Salivate Casting as well, because I want to encourage. Because if anybody's listening to this now genuinely, and you want to pick up a microphone and do what me and Lea are doing, I encourage you all to do it, because there are 30 million podcasts in the world at the moment, and made by 300,000 odd podcasters. There are 7 billion people on this planet. There's more than enough ears for these podcasts, and it's a great. Do you find it's great just being able to just sit and talk and get things off your chest?
Yeah, I find the whole process relaxing.
Yeah,
I find talking to people relaxing. Yeah, everybody should make a podcast. Everybody, because everybody's got an opinion, right or wrong, or whether you agree or disagree. Yeah. I mean, podcast is the new thing. Podcast is, how can I put it, is audio Facebook, I guess.
Yeah,
maybe Facebook is probably the...
Maybe Spotify or Netflix, I guess.
Netflix, I like that one.
Yeah, it's like an audio, it's like a radio Netflix. There's lots to... I mean, if you've got Netflix, they release about 1 million shows every week. Netflix special, and you know what? That's how my first ever sort of meeting surrounding this podcast was at the Darwin Plan Festival that sort of last year. And it was exactly how it sounds. It was like a long table with people sat around it. My first time there, and Alex Vladimirov was kind of like, we've bought Alex. I nearly did his accent then. That would have been horrendous.
Do his accent.
No, I can't. He would slap me. I've got a show with him in a couple of weeks. He'll slap me. He was like, I've brought Alex along. He's from the Shrewsbury Biscuit, and I had to stand up and sort of sell what I do. And I was like, have you guys heard of a podcast? And there's a few people shaking their heads, and I'm like, well, you will have. You will have by the end of the year, because it's blowing up. It's crazy. Everybody's got a podcast. I saw a meme the other day. It was like, podcasts are the new lower back tattoos.
Podcasts and the new tramp stamps.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. But like you said, everyone's got a podcast in them. Everyone's got something to talk about. If you want a podcast about cross stitch, there's one out there for you. If there's one about history, there's loads about true crime and murders and horror and Shrewsbury. What you do is you've got quite a vast sort of, you can talk about anything you want to talk about, and I like that.
Yeah. I mean, I've got probably another 5 or 6 ready to go, like booked and ready to go. I'm off to I won't give away who I'm speaking to on Tuesday, but I'm off to Telford on Tuesday to speak to a guy. You might know who he is. Very good at cooking on barbecues.
Huh?
Yeah. And I'm also speaking to another guy who's rather strong in a couple of weeks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They're really good clues.
Yeah.
Barbecue and strong.
Yep.
I'm going to Telford, though,
Yeah, I know.
I work in Telford. I kind of grew up there.
It's the nice bit.
The nice bit.
Is there one?
I lived in Little Dorley for a few years. So I've never had any problems. It's not too bad.
We go to Telford quite a lot. Telford's the place to be, I think.
Yeah?
Because every time I go there, there's buildings, and there's always they're doing something, and we're lucky if we get like a corner shop in Shrewsbury. They don't do anything in Shrewsbury at all.
I mean, I lived in Telford and moved to Shrewsbury and found it the opposite. I kind of liked the tradition of the place. I loved the feel of the place and how nice people are here. You know, I fell in love with this place quite quick. And you know, we had a meeting last week with someone. I can kind of elaborate a bit more in the show, but we had a meeting. It was like, your show's very positive, very PR kind of positive. I was like, well, that's kind of how I feel. I mean, I think I could sit here and be negative about it, but I try not to be, because I feel like what we want to do is trying to make people's day a bit better, you know? And even with Telford, I grew up in Telford and we know about the problems there, but like you said, it's up and coming. There's lots of changes being put in place, so you know, hopefully things get better. How are you finding planning then? You see, you got five shows lined up, really. Yep. How do you get down to planning? And
that I found that very difficult in the beginning. Maybe I was punching above my weight first of all, but a lot of the time I get, hey, do you want to come on my podcast show? What's it about? Well, nothing really. We're just going to talk mainly about what you do, and I'm going to ask you some questions about what you do and your hobbies and stuff. Okay. How many listeners do you have? I'm like, right, just say no. Just say no. If that's the way you're going to go, I'd rather you just say no. In fact, don't bother.
Yeah.
You know. So planning, I decided that there is a limit to the number of followers that anybody would have on Instagram that I would approach.
Yeah.
Because I think after a certain amount of numbers, they have a significant hubris and they won't entertain you. They won't get back to you. 2 or 3 people have just completely ignored me. You can tell that they've read the message. It says seen. And I'm just like, you could just say no. It's not gonna hurt me. I'm not gonna cry. I'm a big boy.
What's the most elaborate attempt you've had? Because I'll tell you mine.
I've tried.
Go on. I'll tell you, mine's really embarrassing.
I've tried to get hold of he's a massive dad blogger, probably one of the biggest in the country.
Is it the Lad Baby guy?
No, it's oh Christ, what's his name? Father of Daughters, FOD. Okay. I sent him a couple of messages. Seen. Okay, all right, I give up. I
have got messages that I have sent to Patrick Stewart. I've got Kevin Conroy, Kevin Smith. I've tried them all, and you know what? Like, what we'll say on that is, genuinely, like, keep trying, because I messaged Tara Strong recently, thinking Tara Strong. She does like the Powerpuff Girls. She's a voice actor. She's like one of the biggest podcasters in the world, voice actors in the world, and her agent got back to me and said, yeah, it's Comic-Con season at the moment. Get back to us soon. She'll come on. We had John Edney from OPM. Do you remember Heaven is a Halfpipe?
Yes.
We had him on. We've had, just from asking. You just ask.
If you don't ask.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, they can either ignore you or just say no.
Yeah.
You know.
And the fact that you can do this remotely and you don't have to move your ass off the sofa.
Yeah.
You know, is more of a compelling reason for people to say yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to take, an hour? And I don't really have to go anywhere or do anything.
And because you're used to recording remotely as well. And this is what we say. My co-host, Tom, I always say co-host. I'm just going to start saying Tom. People know who he is. I'm Thorskind. He's a Bert Kreischer fan. He loves Bert Kreischer. And he's been to see him before. And we actually got a recording of him going, make sure you listen to Thorskind podcast. Whip it out. He goes up, but he's like, it was in a club. You couldn't really hear it very well. We released it, but you couldn't really tell what it was.
That would have been an amazing soundbite if it was clear, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would have
been brilliant.
He's going to Burlington, which is his hometown, Tom's hometown. And so he's got front row seats, and we're going to try again. I'm going to try and get a local comedian on who's up here quite regularly. Christ, what's his name? Wemboy. Greg Davis.
Yeah, Greg Davis.
It was when I can say it because it was when I first started the Biscuit, and I was super ambitious. I was like, "Who's from Shrewsbury?" You know, you do like the cloud chart, and you're like, let's message Greg Davis. And I messaged his agent, and he was kind of like, I don't think he'd be interested in that. I'm sorry. But I was like, I hadn't even started yet, I don't think. So it was like there was no figures to show. I'll get him one day. One day I'll get him.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You just got to keep trying, haven't you? You got to be tenacious. I wouldn't say too tenacious. You know, don't stalk a guy outside of his house. Be on my podcast, you know.
Yeah, knocking on his window and your face pressed up against his window.
You're pushing your microphone through his letterbox. A word for the biscuit, sir. You know.
I got to ask, where did the name of your podcast come from?
Oh, this was us last week. Basically, there is a Shrewsbury Biscuit. There's a famous Shrewsbury Biscuit. It's basically, it's quite a bland biscuit. I gotta say, I was looking at, I'm going to start making them. It's just like, the biscuits you make with the kids, the basic sort of biscuits. That's a Shrewsbury Biscuit.
Okay.
But they specialised it and made it a nice sort of thing. It became the Shrewsbury Biscuit. Oh, it started off as the Shrewsbury cake, then the Shrewsbury Biscuit. And it just hit me one day driving my car. I was like, oh, take a bite of that. I don't know. I think it was Bruce Nolan. And that's the way the cookie crumbles, It kind of just hit me one day. The best ideas, though, do come to me when I've had a few beers. Like the idea of Thor's kin.
Yeah.
Because
that's brilliant.
I do love that name. It's one of my greatest achievements in my life.
Absolutely.
It was because the idea was, there was originally meant to be four of us, and four and Thor was a play on words, and kin is like, it was a show designed for people that are at home, don't have a lot of going on, you need someone to talk to or need some company. Come and join us. They're our friends, bringing people together. So Thor's kin, and it's cheeky as well because we're a cheeky podcast. I like being creative. I mean, do you know what? Sometimes I can't even switch it off. Do you find that? Like, I'll be thinking about something in the middle of the night, and I'll just be like, oh, I need to get that down.
Yeah, I've got a nasty habit of sounding off on the wife. Hey, what do you think? And she's like, I'm trying to watch Emmerdale. Get out of the room or something. Leave me alone. Go and decide your own fate.
My wife is absolutely. She needs a medal. I mean, look at this. We just had dinner. I'm on a table. I've got my stuff everywhere, and in fact, actually, a big shout out to Hickory's that's about to open in town.
I really want to go there.
Well, thank you very much to Katie Rink, who does my Shrewsbury magazine. She suggested me as someone they should get in contact with for like a VIP opening press thing. Maybe. I don't know. We'll try and get you. I don't know. Message them. See what's going on. See your local podcaster too. But they said I can go the one day, try some food, whatever I want off the menu, and give them a review. And that's really cool. And thank you so much. I'm really humbled. Like that sort of thing doesn't happen very often. But I asked for 3 tickets: one for me, one for Shane, one for Julie. And they were like, "Bring your wife." And I was like, "Oh, but what about Shane's missus and Julie's fella?" And so they gave us 4 tickets anyway, and rather than it go to waste, I was kind of like, well, do you know what? My equipment's all over the kitchen table. She's when we're doing Comic Salopia, she brought us in food. She's constantly doing with my temper tantrums when things don't go right. When I'm not editing and it's not sounding right, or she puts up with a lot. And my wife does deserve a medal, and at least a meal at Hickory's.
Yeah. It's true what they say. Behind every good podcast is a tolerant wife.
It's true. I mean, it is a lot. Like you say, when people do mock podcasters a lot. You want to be on my podcast, you want to be on my podcast. But there is a lot of work that goes into it. Yesterday, a massive, huge shout out to Julie and my co-host, Jules Fox. She has been amazing. We've got a lot of things going on at the moment, and things that are going to make the show a lot better, and we could be we're very close to ending up with a studio in town. I can't say too much because I don't want to embarrass people. I don't want to make myself look an idiot in case it falls through, but we had a lot of paperwork to do, and she spent the whole night the other night putting things together. Then yesterday we went and sat in Stop Cafe at Greyfriars for about 2 hours, putting proposals together, sorting out schedules, because my schedule is written on some dodgy whiteboard on my fridge. I'm terrible. I'm really bad at scheduling, So huge shout out to her, because a lot of work does go into it. And this morning even I went and sat in the cafe and did a bit of emails, because it is hard work. Have you had any sort of blunders yet? Any kind of gaff questions that you've asked that you've just like, and you think about now and you cringe?
Yeah. Sometimes I say things before I think.
Yeah.
But I don't regret them. I just think, maybe you shouldn't have said that yet. Or, I mean, I did an interview with a girl, with a woman. We were talking about street harassment. It was a really interesting conversation. But I kind of got a bit defensive because she was giving it the believe women thing and all that, and I was like, well, hang on a minute, it's a bit one-sided. You need to see it from both sides. If you're going to scream and shout about street harassment and stuff, you do have to admit that sometimes things don't quite work out the way you're saying. And I thought, oh, Jesus.
Maybe
Maybe
about like builders, like,
well,
what's up, love, you know?
She was basically saying that women should be able to go out wearing what they want, which I do not disagree with. They can go night clubbing wearing FA, short skirts and low tops and showing us pretty much everything they possibly can.
Yeah.
And I went, well, hold on. Do you not expect to get some sort of attention wearing that or not wearing that? Well, and I was like, come on, play the game. Ladies go out wearing nothing for attention. Whether you agree with that or not.
That's one of those subjects you like.
It's one of the, and it's like, I find myself, and I'm doing it now, you get that social filter and you go, should I say this? And sometimes I go, yes, I will say it because it's my podcast, it's what I want to say, and it's a topic that I want to have a debate with you over.
Yeah.
So that's my idea. I always say that I reserve the right to be wrong and I reserve the right to change my mind. Now, if I say something that maybe you don't agree with and you go, yeah, but, and then I go, that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't think of that. And then I can retract what I've said before and then say, yeah, what I said was wrong. My view was incorrect, whatever. But my point is, any red-blooded male will give somebody that's wearing a short skirt and a low-cut top attention.
I mean, they will. I think it's more to reflect on kind of society, to be honest, on kind of like the red-blooded maleness.
And let me just say that,
you know,
I don't mean they're going to go. I'm not saying that they're going to get their ass squeezed.
Yeah, that's different. No,
that's different.
That's different.
But you're going to get, Jesus Christ, she looks all right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's one of them subjects where I see. When I first started doing this show, not this show, but more the game, you know, the podcasting, I'd go head into subjects like that, straight in, until, you know, you find yourself saying things that you think are right, and then people switch it onto you. I mean, I got accused of being a racist for... I got really badly accused, actually, for saying I don't think Idris Elba should be James Bond.
Yeah,
because it wouldn't make sense.
But what you've done there is you've opened yourself up for the race card straight away.
Yeah, you have. I have,
and I gotta say, I completely agree with you.
Yeah, a lot of people do, but you know, there's always one, isn't there? That'll be like, you can't say that. I'm like,
I'm virtuous. Listen to me.
I got smashed for that, but I was the admin on the page at the time, and I was kind of like, yeah, you can go.
Yeah. I was. They announced who was going to play Ariel for the new live action Mermaid. What's it called? Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a black girl. Yeah. And Ariel's Dutch. She should be white. And I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
Don't start that crap.
Yeah. There's some things that just don't matter. Like with Teen Titans, they made Starfire black, and I was just like, she's an alien. She can be whatever.
Yeah.
Like, stop. Just stop.
But then saying that is completely contradicted to what I just said about James Bond. But the character of James Bond is a middle-class white boy.
Yeah, the reason why I said that was because of politics and the way things are in Russia at the moment. It's a very racist country. And we got listeners in Russia. Do you have listeners in Russia?
Not now, you haven't.
They might agree with me. But I can't see a guy trying to blend in as a secret agent that works for Russia because they're quite bad at kind of what they do to and for.
Imagine
black people.
A gay black guy.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it just wouldn't make sense. I mean, I'm all for it. I'm genuinely all for whatever in whatever, but like, I just wouldn't be believable. James Bond going, hello, I'm James Bond. I'm Russian. It just wouldn't make sense to me. Although I think Idris Elba is pretty awesome. I love that guy in pretty much anything. I think he's great.
Absolutely.
Especially in Luther. Like, let's leave him as Luther.
Yeah.
There we go. I'm sorry if you guys have been offended by that. It's not. I don't think it's offensive though.
Yeah, I mean, we live in a trigger. We live in a society and a culture that just gets triggered by anything. And I try and tackle my opinion, or I go into my opinions with people quite readily, because I want people to see that thinking these things is normal, and if they're not, well, then educate me. Not change my mind, but educate me to think differently.
Yeah, I've spoken to about this before, about the gender assignment things. That I don't want to get like into the nitty gritty of it, but more the fact that if you get something wrong, if you misgender someone by accident, genuinely, just like I didn't know, I'm really sorry. Don't get all like uppity. Oh my God, you're so ignorant and everything. Just be like, actually, do you know what? No, this is how it is, and you know what? If you want to know more, then I'll happily tell you, rather than jumping down someone's throat. Because I think that's quite bad.
Mm. Well, I've got an opinion on misgendering people, but we'll leave it at that. I don't think you can misgender somebody.
Well, okay, we'll save that for. We'll I'll tell you what. We'll get you on Thorskin. Then we can go double barrel.
We'll go at it.
Yeah,
because this is a family friendly show.
This is a family friendly show. But okay, so what's the feedback been like since you've changed your name?
Pretty good actually. I did a little. Hey, what do you think of this new name? And a lot of people have gone, oh, I love that. That's really good. Which one shall I keep? This one or change it for the new one? No, that's really good.
So there's a lot of people interacting with kind of your...
Yeah, because I think the listeners that I have got, the 6 that I have got, understand the concept and what I'm trying to do. And I think they realise that the title of the new title of the show is more appropriate.
Yeah, because you're quite inquisitive. You like to find out bits, and I like that. And what I like about your show as well is I can hear you thinking.
Yeah.
When just before you're asking a question, you're like, actually, you can kind of hear you.
Yeah,
kind of.
And this is why I love getting into like we won't go into it, like the gender politics and politics and just mad stuff like Trump and because somebody will say something, I'll go. Like I was talking to a good friend of mine, a good American friend of mine. We were talking about religion, and I was saying, "Well, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in all that." And he goes, "Yeah, but you could already be confirmed by God." And I was like, "Well, how then?" Well, because if you've reached a destination and you're happy, then you've been confirmed by God. And I'm like, "Yeah, but could I just be
happy?
That's just the way it is." And we got into it, and I was like, "I can still poke holes in what you're saying."
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm not going to push it too far because we did like a 3-hour podcast. But we were talking and the things you were saying, I kept finding loopholes and things that I could pull apart with not his argument, but his belief.
There's a few subjects that I struggle with. I mean, one of them is religion, of course. I mean, like, that is a minefield anyway. And Star Wars. I mean, Star Wars, as soon as you start speaking to people about Star Wars online, on a podcast, or anything like that, that's worse than going wrong with religion, in all honesty, because I remember I started experimenting with Reddit, with Thorskin, and I started off writing reviews for movies, and it was going really well. I was getting lots of upvotes and lots of positive thinking every time I tagged the podcast with it and everything. And the one day I wrote this review about The Last Jedi and how much I loved it and how much I loved the Princess Leia scene when she floated back into the ship. And you find out that's actually one of the most hated scenes in movie history. And people will just absolutely crucify you for saying that. And they did. I don't know if you know how Reddit works. You can get downvoted. It's all by votes and your reputation. And the more you're downvoted, the worse your reputation is. And there's certain things you can't do if you haven't got a high enough reputation, and I got destroyed.
Oh my God.
Just from my opinion on a movie. It's crazy. It's really bad. So what can people expect then from your show moving forward?
They can expect a lot of controversial opinions and conversations.
Yeah.
Because I love getting into that with people. They can expect to learn a lot because the people that I've got on are very knowledgeable in the field that they are. Whether that's their job or their hobby. The whole idea behind the podcast is for me to learn as much as possible and to give, how do I give value to people that are listening? Well, they listen and they learn as well. So they can expect to learn a lot. What I really want is for people to engage with me over the podcast so that we can develop relationship and conversation off air as well.
Yeah.
There's just so much left, so much more I want to do. What I am having a problem with at the moment is whether I promote the podcast or leave it to leave it to its own device and just grow organically? And secondly, if I'm going to promote it, like, how do I deal with that on different platforms? My boggle at the moment is the podcast the brand and I'm the host, or am I the brand, as in Lea Meakin is the brand and I do this podcast? So I was doing the metadata for the podcast I've just released tonight, or it was released yesterday. I did the metadata for it tonight, and I was doing all my social links. So I was going, okay, so my Instagram link, is it going to be me as the brand and I do the podcast, or is it going to be the podcast? So I'm fighting with that at the moment, but you can expect lots of fun, lots of laughs, controversy, and a lot of education.
I quite like it though when someone I used to listen to a lot of podcasters, and I like listening to podcasters that are going through that sort of phase that you're going through at the moment. Like, kind of, what am I doing with this? What is this? What is this thing that I've got? And trying out new things, and it's quite nice, especially when you hear new things coming through that carry on through the series, or you find a style that kind of fits you, and you kind of, your listeners will grow with you and then sort of settle into your journey with you. And I quite like that. I mean, I've followed a few podcasters, like especially like Mark Maron and my friends Matt and Justin from the Two Broke Geeks. They've kind of got like this really they'll forgive me for saying this, but a really dorky kind of outlook on things, toys and news and things like that. They've kind of just settled into this kind of, they'll sit in burger bars and sit in cafes and stuff, just chatting away, and they didn't want to chase in Pokemon. It's just, they felt everybody falls into a groove, and it's nice following a podcast into that.
Yeah. Like, my podcast's still relatively young, and I keep finding myself going, right, you have to have continuity. Don't change too much.
Yeah.
Decide what you're doing quickly. And I'm like, yeah, but I can't decide what I'm doing quickly. And I think my podcast is still young enough where I can have that fluidity, and people will tolerate a change. I think once you get established and you're getting a lot of listeners and there's a lot of weight behind you, by that point, you really should be pretty much nailed down.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's find out a bit about you, okay? So, where are you? I mean, you've got a southern accent there, haven't you? Yeah, so where are you from originally?
Originally from Taunton, Somerset.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, lovely part of the world. And I kind of... I don't like this town.
Really?
Yeah. Because culturally, for me, I disagree with what you said earlier on, that the people are lovely. The people are nice, but compared to where I come from, I find them a bit arrogant.
Arrogant?
Yeah. But that could just be my misconception of the culture, because, I mean, you've got regional cultures, and I'm yet to love this town.
It's. I guess it's from where. Depends where you're from. In all honesty.
Yeah, my heart is still back there.
Yeah,
I think that's the main thing. I don't hate Shrewsbury, but I've not lived here long enough yet to say, oh, this is my home, and I love it up here.
I mean, I guess I'm lucky. I mean, like, I've lived all over the place, really, but this is the place where I feel like it's acceptable to be arrogant, if you know what I mean. More proud. You're kind of proud of this place, and
yeah, maybe that's it. Yeah,
there's a lot of pride in this town, and I feel like it's deserved. Like, I see people taking pictures. I see people enjoying themselves out. When you join like sites like For the Love of Shrewsbury, people talk about things like they've just opened up the footbridge over by the railway from the Dana prison. There's like a white footbridge, and people are so proud of it. It's a footbridge over a railway to the, and people are so proud of it. Things like that just kind of really make me like, because I never had that. I never grew up around that.
And that this little conversation we just had there is exactly my point. When I have an opinion, and you have just changed my opinion.
Yeah,
Shrewsbury is a gorgeous place.
Yeah,
it's got so much history. And I was listening to you talking to Stan, who incidentally is my wife's dad's very good friend.
Oh, fantastic.
So I'm going to go, hey, Stan, you want to come and talk to me?
He's amazing.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
I know, I'd love to go on a tour, because this place oozes history.
Yeah.
And I'd love to know more about the history of this place. But yeah, the pride, I guess, I've misconstrued as arrogance.
Yeah.
So I've just changed my mind.
Oh, bless you, bless you. I feel like this is just a nice place. The schools are great and stuff.
I think it's got a lot of potential that is not being taken advantage of. But then I guess that's going to change within the next 10 to 15 years.
Well, there's big changes, isn't there? There's lots with the big town plan linking up the flax mill and the prison and the town and all these cycle paths they got everywhere. There's a place where there's a lot of change going on,
especially with that university. I mean, the whole Frankwell and all that Riverside area.
Yeah,
it means it's just going to be unrecognisable.
Yeah, it's going to look great. I mean, it will be sad to see the Riverside go. Absolutely, because there's a lot of friends. I've got a lot of friends that operate in there because I do a lot with Participate. Hopefully they'll find a new home soon, and we'll have something nice and sleek. And like you said, that Riverside there is it's a shame to not use it. Some sort of promenade or some sort of, bring people in.
It's just screaming out for development, isn't it?
It really is. Yeah. And, hopefully we'll see. It's exciting times. I mean, it's going to disrupt the roads. That's for sure. I can guarantee that. Because when are the roads in Shrewsbury never disrupted?
Yeah.
So what do you do for a living? Can we talk about that?
Yeah, I've got a rather interesting... Well, I say it's interesting. It's kind of boring. It sounds a lot more interesting than it is. But I love it. I drive a mobile workshop, basically a giant van that's full of equipment. And I drive all over the country and I service and calibrate hydraulic torque equipment.
Oh, right, okay.
So they are basically piston-powered hand wrench or wrenches that do up massive bolts for offshore petrochem industries, mining.
That's amazing. No, that sort of thing's great. I mean, Shane used to co-host Shane. He used to woodline the inside of vans. The woodlining and he used to explain to me how he used to do that. And he's like, I can knock one of them out in like half an hour. I'm like, what? Really? You can completely and I find things that people that do things with their hands. I've never really been that kind of guy, so I'm always interested. Because
Well, I'm currently working in Ratcliffe Power Station, which is probably one of the biggest coal-fired power stations in the UK.
Oh, not coal.
Yeah, the old black stuff, the black gold. Yeah. Trump would love that.
That's really interesting. So you're just there then? You don't have to travel?
Yeah, I travel everywhere. I literally drive everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, next week I could be in Hull. I could be in the Isle of Grain, London, Bristol, Cardiff.
I was playing Call of Duty with my friend next door, Steve, and I had an old friend come up. He popped up into our party, and he started chatting to us while we were playing. And I hadn't spoke to him for ages, and it turns out he's a long-distance driver. And I was like, so how's the job, man? I didn't realise how conversationally repressed he must have been, because he's like, oh, mate, yeah, it's fantastic, mate. I mean, I drive here, there and everywhere. I'm back up from London all the time, Al, And I was like, how do you deal with all these bad drivers and stuff like that? He goes, oh, mate, I'm driving like a massive 18-wheel or whatever it is, lorry, and no one's going to mess with me, mate. He's like going, no, he loves what he does. And I was just like, okay, that's cool. So I'm interested in knowing what I couldn't deal with the road rage, in all honesty, driving around all the time.
I think the most enjoyable part of my job is because I work on my own. I do speak to people and see people and everything else, but I'm in the back of my van. It's all powered. I've got internet. I've got a monitor and a laptop, and I've got probably 150 podcasts lined up. Thorskin is one of them, but I've yet to. It's down the list, so I just wait for it to pop up.
There's plenty of it to listen to.
And I put my earphones in, and I just tinker away, and I'm happy as like a pig in the smelly stuff.
Really interesting. You have to let me know what you think about the other show. But yeah, it's been really interesting chatting to you. Can you give us a hint of what's coming up next? I know you said you got 5 episodes lined up.
Well, first of all, I'm going to get the recording right in the next one. I'll make sure I won't have a choice because it's going to be on location. I'll tell you who I'm talking to. On Tuesday, I'm talking to Shropshire Lad.
All right.
Yeah, I've got him coming on. I've got Charlie Brisbane lined up as well. He's going to come onto the show. He's a bodybuilder. He's a bit of a beast. And I'll see if I can arm wrestle him.
Yeah.
I'll probably beat him, to be fair. The rest of them are booked but not confirmed.
Yeah.
So they are yet to be rubber stamped. But But yeah, those are the two that are next.
Oh, fantastic. Sounds great. Well, look, I really do. Oh God, so clumsy with my own equipment. I really do wish you all the luck in the world with Conversation Junkie. It's a great show, and I got you on here just to tell you that I think you're doing a great job, and keep doing what you're doing, and you've got our support if you need it. 'Cause we that's what we do. I've got a bit of news to talk about before we get out of here. First of all, I'm going to start off with my shout-outs that I was supposed to do at the beginning. I've already thanked Hickories and Jules. I want to thank Tim Page from the BBC as well. I emailed him today because I was kind of like, might have a new studio coming up, and I don't have any money. So if you the old BBC have got a few bits lying around in a locker somewhere, and he was like, no, everything's accounted for. I'm really sorry, but he gave me some really sound, some audio advice, teaching me how to get rid of echo and things I can use.
You'll have to let me know because that's one thing I'm struggling with.
I come up with this idea to start off with concertina sort of screens with audio boards, and then just putting them around the table. Shane's really handy at doing stuff like that. We can put something together, I guess.
I tried once to put a pillow over my head. I tried to podcast with literally a pillowcase over my head.
Well, you're part of a few podcast groups. Have you seen some of the people that like sit in their like closets and they make studio? I'm like, oh, no, don't do that. Don't do that, guys. Don't do that. It's terrible. I mean, I quite like this sort of free flowing sound and audio. I can't I mean, with the deepest respect of people that do, sound like this, and they talk and there's silence in between the words. I can't do that.
No.
Also, a shout out to Claire and Beth from Shropshire Festivals. You know why? You've helped me out an awful lot with people and people that because we're going to be working together. We've synced up calendars. We're going to be covering a lot of the events and stuff like that. And what you've done for us it's a dream. For someone that's doing something like this, is an absolute dream. And you have no idea how happy I am about the way things are going at the moment. That's because of you guys. So thank you very much. And also, finally, for my shout outs, you may see me walking around looking like Tobias from Arrested Development because I'm growing a moustache from Movember. It's one of those things I've always sort of done. Movember's great. I mean, we talked about a bit. We did a show on mental health a few weeks ago, and we're talking about, Shane was going, brilliant. Shane was an absolute killer on that episode. He was fantastic, and we were talking about this sort of male stigma that guys have got. You've got to be the bloke, the man, and it's you don't open up, you don't cry. Boys don't cry, all that sort of stuff. But a lot of that happens to cause a lot of damage, and Movember is a way of kind of, teaching people awareness that mental health it happens to guys too, and it's all right to open up.
Yeah, what was that comment that leader said? Everybody has mental health.
Yeah, everybody has mental health. Everybody has mental health. Also, Carla got in touch with me and she said, I made a comment at the beginning of that episode saying, I think I was being like overly polite in saying, our email and our number is free all the time and we're available all the time. And she was like, you can't say that, man. You can't say that.
Don't say that.
You can't say that. That was me just saying, like, if anybody wants to chat, you can come and chat because, like, I know what it's like to not have someone to talk to. But it was like when you say you're free all the time, people take it as literally you're free all the time. But we're not free all the time. Just if you, common sense, people.
Between the hours of 9 to 5.
I was 95. And then the final bit of news I've got is the Market Hall needs your help. Last year, they won the award for the best Great British Market in the UK because people got out there and voted, and they would like to win it again. And I think it deserves it. The Market Hall is one of the best spots in town. You can go and grab a few drinks, go and get some food. You can buy anything, Indian food. There's just so much there. There is so much there. So if you go on our Facebook and look at the link I put up on there about the Market Hall, I might save it as an announcement if I can. Make sure you go and vote. I don't know if you can do it internationally. Just give it a go. Try and get some votes and see if we can get them, because I do deserve it. They put a lot of effort into that, and they put like some really nice photos, and the pictures are like, they really do signify the sort of character of the place. All the photos just fantastic. So make sure you go and do that. We've got a great month lined up actually. At the end of this month, we've got obviously we've got Lee here today. Oh, what's up? We've got the Monopoly launch on the 15th. We're going to be going to that. We'll get a few. Julie came up with this great idea for the little bits I catch for the Tascam as crumbs, biscuit crumbs.
I like it.
It's quite cool. I really
That's
like
wicked.
it. So we're gonna get a few crumbs from the Monopoly launch. Then we're going to be speaking to Laura Clark from Lefebvre Chocolate.
Love that stuff.
Yeah,
Love it.
Chocolate. Or
No, the chocolate. Mind you, Rich is a pretty handsome guy, isn't he?
Yeah. We're going to get them both on, I think. I don't know if it's her or if they're both coming around, but either way, they're both welcome. We're going to be speaking to them because we've got a new range coming out for Christmas. And then we're going to go and spend a day at the parade in town, and we're going to speak to a few traders there and find out what's going on in that dark little corner in Shrewsbury that nobody really goes to. I want to try and find out what goes on in there because it's one of the most amazing buildings. Have you been in there?
The parade?
Yeah, the shopping centre. It is one of the most surreal buildings to walk. It used to be an old hospital. It's an old Victorian hospital, and you walk in, and there's shops everywhere. But it just feels. It's just one of my favourite buildings because it just doesn't. It feels like one of those little malls you find when you're in abroad in the Canaries or something. Because all the floors are tiled and all the rooms, all the stalls and the shops have got the arched.
Right.
Glass doors. It just feels weirdly odd, but brilliantly odd, I should say.
Cool.
So we're going to find out what's going on there. And then the week after, we've got the Town Crier coming on, Martin Wood.
Oh, that's the guy I want to get on, yeah.
Yeah, get him on. And I'm not going to ramble on too much. Lee, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thanks for inviting me on. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, we just waffled, and that's what I like.
It's good.
Yeah, so... Guys, if you've got anything to add, any messages to send us, make sure you can message us on Facebook or you can give us an email, which is shrewsburybiscuitpodcast@gmail.com. And we'll catch you next week. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Peace out.